Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yeah, well, it's what we do here. I mean, I'm not going to change, but I will say something about South Florida and Florida overall. There's a lot of the fan base that feels there was no NHL until their team showed up in 1993, which is fine, but I'm here to tell you that there was a league before that. And before I get to the comments here, or more comments, there was a show, a hockey show in Florida, which I don't view as our competition. I guess certain factions do. I feel we all work together growing the sport in Florida. That's what I think. But they did a top 5 fictional hockey player themed show because there ain't nothing else going on right now really to talk about. And they didn't even mention anybody from Slapshot. So, what? Top 5 fictional hockey player, and you don't have that? So, don't even mention Peter Puck, Dean Youngblood from the movie Youngblood, Ogie Oglethorpe. Serena and I agreed ours both would be Reg Dunlop. But theirs is the coach from the Mighty Ducks, Emilio Estevez, and the Tooth Fairy, The Rock. Stop. I don't know. We bring the historical perspective. Not everybody is going to. And I'm ready to move on.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show. Right now.
I'm wearing headphones, rocking it back old school radio days.
How about that?
And somebody said it looks like I'm plugged into a Walkman. And I remember when I got my first Walkman, because my brothers and I had to share it. And I was the youngest, so how often do you think I got it? And you had your case of cassettes, and then people started to crap on your music selection. And I'm like, then bring yours then! How many times did we have that conversation at parties?
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
I'll tell you what, yes it is. Hi everybody, welcome to Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show. We're here on the Game Plus television network. It's the Rod Pedersen Show, and I'm going to tell you something. We've had quite a week. I feel like Eugene Levy in the movie Splash. What a week I'm having. But that's okay because it's fantastic. And in a moment you're going to hear why. It may not be so great for you people because it looks like you're going to be stuck with me for the entirety of hour one. So Moose is flying home back to Toronto from Palm Desert, California today. And thank you for the you people, Bell. If you don't know, you don't know. If you know, you know. So Moose is not available. Moose not here. So Jared Dumba, the hockey-playing Dumba from the hockey-playing Dumba family, was lined up to join us from Germany. Producer Clark had him lined up to co-host with me for a lion's share of hour one, and Jared not here. So here we go. I can only the time change. I don't really know, but at this point, it's just you and me. Are you okay with that? Because I got some really great stories, and if you say you like my stories, and they just keep adding up, and they keep getting better and more bountiful, and so yeah. What I do know, God willing, Brien Ray will be with us from the Dallas Stars TV network, Victory Plus TV in hour 2. So, Allie in Texarkana, Texas, if you're watching and you got some questions for Brien Ray, feel free to fire them our way as we get ready for his appearance. The Progressive Insurance text line is open, as you can see, 902-518-3033. And switch to Progressive, and you can save a bunch. There's some texts from yesterday's show, but we're moving on. Can you hit the quick 6 show horn, please, Producer Clark? All right. So we're opening up. Hi, Carlos from Indianapolis. If you're all checking in on the streaming chat, I will acknowledge you here in the warm-up because I got nobody else. Oh, hey, Allie's here. She has shown up. She says, just bring on Brien now. Wouldn't that be a great idea? Well, we can't. He's busy. I'm just so grateful that he's agreed to come on a game day. Just as I see Matthew Tkachuk is speaking right now, that was quick, over in Tampa Bay, saying he was just super grateful to be out playing last night for the Florida Panthers. She says 2 hours of Rod and Brien would be awesome. LOL. Be careful what you wish for. I know it tastes good, but you can't have 2 hours of birthday cake. Did you hit the show horn? Can you hit it again, and we'll get down to business here with what we're doing. Yeah. Clark is guessing that Jared's got his time zone mixed up. Here's the thing. 1,481 episodes here. 8 years of sports talk radio in another market. I can handle it myself. I'll be fine. So we open with what I call the big story. It's not that bad. It's all me here in hour one. So the big story to me, and I'm guessing you, that's why you're here today, is the Stanley Cup playoffs. So here's some quick one-timers from Tuesday night. Max Domi scored at 3:09 of overtime, and the Toronto Maple Leafs beat the visiting Ottawa Senators 3-2 in Game 2 of their first-round Stanley Cup playoff series. John Tavares had a goal and an assist for the Leafs, who blew a 2-0 lead in the game, but, of course, came back to win in overtime. In a game that I was at, thank you so much to Brent and Bree, our friends from Wellington, Florida. We all went up on a roadie. We drove to Tampa. We had supper ahead of the game. We went to the game, and some great stories coming your way on that. And then Bree drove home. Thank you, Bree. Got home at 3 a.m. But it was all worth it for all the wonderful opportunities that you're about to hear. But Matthew Tkachuk, who had two power play goals and a helper. Nate Schmidt scored twice as the visiting Florida Panthers whipped the Tampa Bay Lightning 6-2 in Game 1 of that series in the Sunshine State. Kirill Kaprizov had 2 goals and an assist as the visiting Minnesota Wild defeated the Vegas Golden Knights 5-2, tying up that series 1-1. And Jordan Martinook scored the go-ahead goal, a shorty, in the second period, and Frederick Anderson came up big in net all night to help the Carolina Hurricanes beat the New Jersey Devils 3-1 to go up 2-0. So I was anticipating having Jared Dumba here, and maybe we will. Probably, I don't know. But that can handle it. So some thoughts from, first of all, the Leaf game, because our television channel is anchored in Toronto, Game Plus TV. We had a great chat yesterday with AJ Jakubic of TSN Radio Ottawa. What did we say? The Senators are still figuring out who they are. The Leafs have been the last 9 years overall, but for sure the last 3 or 4 years figuring out who they are. They know, the Leafs know who they are. And don't let the fact that it went to overtime scare you. This may end up being a sweep. I think I said Leafs in 5. This is why we have the hockey analysts on here to complement me and Moose's opinions on these things. Gord Stellick, who I just love, he's a hockey guy. He said the Senators right now are where the Leafs were 9 years ago. Just that young bunch, scrappy, happy to be there. Thanks for coming out. Now, last night at Tampa Bay. Hang on with the photo, Clark. We're going to get to it. I can handle this just fine here in the warm-up and the Quick Six show topics. I was thinking I could rip through all 6 Quick Six show topics. This would be like ESPN or TSN Sports Center, but I'm getting hung up on point 1, and that's okay. I had predicted that the Tampa Bay Lightning would miss the playoffs this year, and they jammed that where the sun don't shine. That's fine, and that's a story for another day. And then picked them last night to win. Okay, because here's was my thinking. They finished 4 points higher than Florida in the regular season. That's why they had home ice. The rink was sold out. Tampa Bay is a hockey town. They're proud of their team. And Florida hadn't played all together with a full lineup in what seemed like 2 months. I honestly thought it was going to take a while for the Panthers to get into the flow of things. No. I think it was officially 3:44 into the first period. Sam Bennett tapped out of the air a pass past Andrei Vasilevsky, who failed to show up. Sorry to say. Vazzy failed to show up. 5 goals on 11 shots. The Panthers went on to win 6-2. But I will tell you this. In Amalie Arena, I've been to, I think, every NHL facility. There are very few that rival a Lightning pregame. And they have the market cornered on AC/DC. Okay, they pump it. The Back in Black album, they just put it on a loop. And they had this kid come out. It was for Thunderstruck. Yeah, Thunderstruck. He's like 10 years old. Went out with a flag. He toe-picked it when he entered the but he popped right up like that anthem singer in BC, in Vancouver. And he kept going, stood at center ice. The lights are down. Thunder. And the kid's pumping his stick at center like this. The place is going nuts. I got a tear in my eye, and I don't even like the And unfortunately, the team forgot to show up. They just did. Can we say it what it is? But the thing is, I wasn't going to poke fun at the Lightning or say anything mean about them because they deserve our respect. They played a pregame video, and I can't remember what the guy's name is. Last year, they played a video with Phil Esposito in that warm-up video before the team came on. It was the Lightning, the host of their broadcast, narrated the video, and then they showed him, and he goes, that dressing room still knows how to get it done. It's time a few people get reminded of it. Something like that. And again, they came out and they didn't show up. So we're really wondering what's going to go down in Game 2. As for the Panthers, they are who we thought they were. And they were dominant. Ferocious. For those that said that the Panthers had lost their bite over the last 2 months, what was missing? Matthew Tkachuk. Bad penalty, 2 goals and a helper. Chucky's arrived. Or Chucky's back. Sounds like a movie, doesn't it? Now, where are we at here? 12:09. We're over halfway through the segment. Jenna checks in. Says, good morning from Southern California. And says, that was fun. WHL Chiefs versus the Royals. Yeah. Hey, BW in Edmonton. Good morning to you. Good morning, David, number 1 in Winnipeg. They are planning the parades in Toronto and Winnipeg. You understand that you can only one of you can have a parade. Who's it going to be? Now, I'm going to move on to point 2. And we got tonight's NHL games to get to. We got some NFL. I'd like to talk about Major League Baseball. But some news yesterday. Lou Lamoriello's 8-year run with the New York Islanders is over. The announced on Tuesday that the contract of the 82-year-old president and GM will not be renewed. Operating partner John Collins said he'll lead a search to find the next general manager. Also, was it just yesterday, Dan Bilesma was fired in Seattle, and a lot of people wrote in here asking our opinion on Dan Bilesma being fired. It might have actually happened while we were on the air, and it's hard to address things literally while you're on the air when you have a plan of what you're going to talk about. But say this about Lou Lamoriello. Will he work again at 82? I don't know. But let me just tell you a little story from last night. I'm sitting in the press box at Amalie Arena. 2 rows. And in the first row is Bill Doug Plague's radio crew. They put him in the playoffs right down with all us heathens in the regular media. And I'm in the second row, higher than them. So I'm sitting watching their pregame show, and I took the lineup sheet, crumpled it up, and threw it at Bill. Tunk. Billy looks at me and laughs. I hear this voice coming over. He goes, somebody's having fun already. And I look. It's this guy. Can you throw the photo up, Clark? It's none other than Scotty Bowman. Number 1 all-time in NHL wins. 12 in a regular season. 9 Stanley Cups as a head coach. 5 more as a consultant. 14 Stanley Cups for Scotty Bowman. Let me rewind what he said. Somebody's having fun already. And I'm like, I hope I don't catch hell for that. He thought it was funny. He's like, is this seat taken? I said, yeah, by you. I had before in 1996 in St. Louis. I'm pretty sure he doesn't remember. A big group of us all went from. Remember that, Rich Sutter? Pretty sure Scotty didn't remember, but that's fine. So he sits down yesterday. It's Scotty Bowman. As people have said to me after I plastered this all over social media, the greatest hockey coach ever. Bear that out, obviously, with what I just read to you. But listen, I get so misunderstood. People get mad at me with things that I say. I say things like my mom said all the time. She would say this line, because a lot of people have said, how was your chat with Scotty Bowman? If you knew my mom or my family, you would get this. If you don't know my family, you won't get it. I don't care. I'm going to say it anyway. I couldn't get away from him. You know what I mean? Like, he was very chatty and incredibly nice. That's all. It's not, listen, I get that he's royalty. I get that he's Hockey Hall of Fame. I know he's the greatest hockey coach of all time. Just a normal guy from Montreal, specifically. And so we're sitting there watching warm-up together. It was with my dad, and he it's why I said I love listening to Gord Stellick and having these guys, the hockey guys, on. That's my people. And he's like, everybody going for Florida? And I said, everybody's available. He goes, but not Ekblad. No, he's suspended, but he will be for Game 3. Everybody's healthy. He's like, yeah. He's laughing. He's 91. 91. You want to throw that back up, Clark? Does this guy look like he's 91? He had his phone going. He's texting. I think he might have been on Twitter. Nope. Who's that?
Hot damn.
Thank you. He looked angelic. And I'll tell you what, I have put this on my social media. I couldn't believe how nice he was. It's kind of the whole point. And the intuition, the voice that I was getting was, if he can be that nice, and he's the greatest hockey coach of all time, why can't everybody be that nice? Why do we have so many jerks in sports that haven't earned 1,000th of what this guy has? And yet, he wants to talk to me about living in Sarasota and why he doesn't come to Sunrise for games because and coming into Tampa Bay is a little bit of a pain for traffic. If you know the area, you'll know. But because it's the Cup, Scotty's showing up. This is the chat that we had. And then a little furthermore, people are like, oh, did you ask him to come on your show? No. Guess what? Not every meeting, not every relationship is transactional. I was going to sit there and share space with him. I'm not going to ask him to come on my show. Not initially, anyways. But if I'd have the opportunity, maybe one day I will, because I've asked Wally Buono this, who Wally's the Scotty Bowman of Canadian football, or secret. But I don't need to ask Scotty. I got this in the time that we spent together. Treat people with respect and be honest with them. He didn't say that, but I've been around these guys enough and lived enough life to know. Treat people with respect and be honest with them. You'll be fine. Because somebody last week how they're getting rid of all the old coaches in the NHL, and maybe they are, like the John Tortorellas and even Peter Ladwell and Darryl Sutter, and affording going to the younger guys, the Carberries, whatever I'm talking about. And I'm like, well, I don't think it's about youth. I feel like Scotty Bowman could walk onto a bench right now and coach. That was the sense that I got. As I was talking to my 12-step sponsor this morning, Bob, about it, who coached. People listen to that guy, even if it's the grandfatherly thing. You don't listen to your parents, but your grandpa. I feel like Scotty Bowman could coach right now if he wanted to. I walked away from it with that thought of he didn't have to be so nice to nobody like me. And was very interested in what we do and all the rest, man. It was fantastic. So with Lula, you sit and laugh. Everybody laughs about the no air rule of that he had. And then with the Islanders, well, he's got the Stanley Cups. My brother said one time, old school will always win. Everything will come back to that. We're one segment down. I feel like we're just getting going. We'll be right back here live on Game Plus Television, streaming live and wherever you enjoy your podcast.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Honky Tonk legend Mark Chestnut. Celebrating 35 years of music. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
All right, we're back in Studio 23, as you see on the RP Show on a Wednesday here on Game Plus Television. So here's the thing. BW from Edmonton writes in, says, you've got a loose mic wire. Scott in Moose Jaw writes in and says, your feed isn't great today, just like we're doing the best we can, all right? We're all doing the best we can. She is in Calgary. She says, Rod, I'm always okay with it being only you on the show. You do have so much great info and opinions for us. Have a great show. Thank you, Noni. Very kind of you. Very supportive. Thank you. Chris is watching in Heidelberg, Ontario. He's a big junior hockey guy. He says, what a Game 7 in the OHL West Division semifinal. The Kitchener Rangers defeated Windsor 2-1 in overtime. Coming back from a 3-0 down in the series, both teams battled. And you see the players were just gassed at the end. Done. London. Thank you for the update. And I will roll on. For those that just joined, Jared Dumba scheduled to join us. He's in Germany, however, and I can only assume that he's been tripped up by the time zone. I don't know. It's been that kind of week. Again, we're all doing the best we can. Moose is flying home from Palm Desert today. These guys are trying my feet in the middle of the show. We're all doing the best. So, take it. You got a remote control. For those that asked about Dan Biles' murder in Seattle, the breaking news that isn't so breaking. It came down yesterday. I don't know enough about the situation. and maybe you can help me out about this, the audience, because we're all doing this together, as I said earlier. This is year 4 for Seattle, right? You know, I'm great friends with a lot of the people in the Golden Knights organization and acquaintances with others in the Golden Knights organization. I wouldn't say great friends. You know, they had a lot of pride in what they've done coming in as an expansion in 2017, going to the Stanley Cup in the first year. They've only missed the playoffs once. And then eventually winning the Stanley Cup in year 6. And Seattle, there is, I think, this big rivalry as expansion cuts in the two. So my first thought would be, hey, Vegas kept firing coaches till they got it right. Gerard Gallant, Peter DeBoer, they're on their 3rd coach in year 7. Seattle now will be hiring their 3rd coach going into year 5. But the Seattle Kraken are no Vegas Golden Knights. That's the difference. Ton of respect for Ron Francis and what he's done, and now they've moved in Jason Botterill in a prominent role in their hockey operations there in Seattle. What I see is that from the day Seattle got the team, the franchise, they wanted to do this, that, and to do this. Nobody cares unless you win. So that's what I think. Whoever goes in there after Dan Bilesma, because it's going to be a coveted job. I guess my point is the Seattle Kraken seem more wound up in political statements and being the first to make a statement than go win hockey games. And that's all Vegas is all about. And I know those guys. They've always been that way. And will always be that way. Although what I saw last night was awesome. Again, Brien home last night. Fantastic having satellite television in the vehicle and watching the Golden Knights and the Minnesota Wild. And we all kind of thought, or at least I did, that the Golden Knights were going to get their act together. Not enough. Down 4-0 to Minnie. The series is tied 1-1. But you know what? These weren't going to end in sweeps. 902-518-30, the Progressive Insurance text line. Chad in Red Deer writes in. He says, morning, everyone. Game 2 for some tonight. The most important game until Game 3. He's talking about Montreal, Washington, which now would be a very good time to tell you what the plan is today for our friends at EMJ Marketing. They will transform your event with an all-star speaker from their roster. Check them out at emjmarketing.com and look up Joe there. The poll question is, what is the game of the night in the Stanley Cup playoffs? I rated Ted in Red Deer. The last I looked, leading the way, Edmonton Oilers, Los Angeles Kings. There are 3. Montreal at Washington, Caps up 1-0. Dallas at Colorado, which has my vote. That series is 1. And Brian Ray will be with us in hour 2, Dallas Stars TV. And the Oilers at the Kings is the 3rd. The Kings lead 1-0. Very pivotal game. As my friend Brent in Wellington, Florida pointed out, must have been the winner of, well, quoting the NHL stat, the Game 1 winner goes on to win the series 68% of the time. Montreal, Ottawa, a lot of us feel lucky, too young and plucky, just happy to be there. Going to overtime was awesome in Game 1 in Washington. Well, we'll win Game 2 tonight, but I can't see it. Can't see them winning tonight. Can't see them winning the series. Here's one for you. One of those football guys who was asking me for Stanley Cup playoff picks and the Lightning last night. He's a football guy here in South Florida. So I said to go with Tampa Bay to beat Florida. The laying the boots to the Lightning last night, 5-2. I texted him that. He goes, I couldn't bear to not bet on the Panthers, so I bet on them anyways. Thank you. So we won. do not pick for betting advice. Don't follow mine. I think Moose is okay with you following his betting advice. He did win the pick pool, by the way, and it's kind of an annoying story that I won't get to. Scott in Moose Jaw writes in. He says, "Oh my God, Kachuk, go Florida." Thing story too. I was talking to the media from South Florida, friends with them all, because I'm not and don't want to be in the grind, in the trenches, covering practice every day for a variety of reasons. And I said to one of the reporters, I said in the press box last night, I said, you were reporting Chuck was getting at. Has been saying all along, we don't know. Even at the morning skate Tuesday, Paul Maurice said that Matthew Tkachuk, time decision. We're all like, oh, come on. I said, but you were saying he was going to play. I said, did you get in trouble at all from the Panthers for reporting that? He's like, no, I don't know for that. I said, okay, cool. He goes, just so you know, just to peek behind the curtain, I don't think this is divulging too much to say it. He goes, we don't know what was behind why Paul Maurice said it was a game time decision. Who knows what the LTIR situation is? Who knows if he was getting directions from as high up as the owner? We don't know. He goes, I can just report what I see, and it looks like Matthew Tkachuk is going to play. And that's the difference, I really think, between hockey and football, because report practice, and the team didn't like it. That's what leads to closed practice. The Panthers, from time to time, have closed practice. But I got PTSD. And I told that reporter last night, I got PTSD from my last job. I don't know what to report and what not to, so I'll just let you stay in the trenches, and I'll sit here behind. There's room for that, too. Oh, my God. Colton San Diego writes in, and he says, Rod, what are your thoughts on the Lennon Sharp situation? My thoughts on that are not my circus. That's my thoughts. Stay over there with that. Like you, I read the transcripts of what was between he and her. Nope. Bill Edwards writes in from the Queen City, Rod, the sky is blue, the day is good, and spring has sprung. So it's a great day here.
How about
I'd love to hear that, Bill. And how about those Leafs?
Bingo!
Planning the parade. Speaking of Toronto, I had a friend in Toronto yesterday who a huge Leafs fan. A friend of mine in Toronto saw Scotty Bowman. Throw it up again, Clark, if you don't mind. The photo of Scotty Bowman and I last night at the hockey game. Within 5 minutes, my friend in Toronto goes, hey, Rod, are you still with Scotty Bowman? I'd like to have my dad call him. Can you hand him the phone? No. Point 3, Jeremy Pena and Christian Walker each had 3 hits and an RBI, and the Houston Astros won. They'll ask anything, you know. They'll ask anything. Don't be afraid to say no. Lonely. Can be very lonely. But you can't say yes to all these requests. I'm speaking from experience. The Astros cruised to a 5-1 win over the visiting Toronto Blue Jays Tuesday night. The Jays were held for the second game. Houston took a 3-0 lead in the first inning, then coasted to its 4th win in the past 5. The Jays, who got a home run from Nathan Lukes in the third, lost 4 in a row. Who are we firing, Clark? The Blue Jays have slipped to 3rd in the division. Somebody's got to go. Am I doing it right? Somebody. Clark says he likes my energy and my attitude. At least someone does. Hour 1 is brought to you by Culligan Water. Drink clean, live green, filter your water for a healthier tomorrow. Culligan Water of Regina. Check him out at culliganregina.com. It is a basketball town. My friend Brent from Regina. It's probably why he says yesterday, he's like, you said you were going to talk about the NBA, but I don't think you did. I said, I mentioned the which is what I'm about to do, but I don't think anybody tuned in to see me analyze the NBA. I'm pretty confident in that. Spicy P, Pascal Siakam had 24 points and 11 rebounds, and Tyrese Halliburton added 21 and 12 assists to lead the Pacers past the Milwaukee Bucks, 123-115 on Tuesday night for a 2-0 lead in the first round. Indiana 2, Milwaukee 0. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of Hamilton, 7 points. Oklahoma City dominated Memphis, 118-99. Thunder up 2-0. Luka Doncic had 31 points, and the Los Angeles Lakers even their first-round series with Minnesota with a 94-85 victory in Game 2. Some NFL draft thoughts, and we have not yet worked our way really to tonight's NHL games, and we will. One is over. I want on the text line 902-518-3033 when we come back. Got a sports away. We're live here on Game Plus, streaming live and podcasting wherever you enjoy your podcast.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Honky Tonk legend Mark Chestnut. Celebrating 35 years of music. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Oh, this is something. It's something today. So, going live from South Florida. We were on the road yesterday. We're expected to be, we had planned to be joined by Jared Dumba here in hour one from Germany, and I can only think our hockey analyst got up by the time change. Not here. And I see that there's issues with the audio. How about this? Kirk in Toronto writes in on the Progressive Insurance text line. Hi, Rod. Kurt from Toronto here. Very choppy broadcast, so I'm out for now. And Jays can't hit. Yeah, goodbye. 1,800 people writing feed. Your audio's choppy. You think we don't know? Do you think we don't know? And hold on for just a few minutes. As a matter of fact, in the next break, which I'm not going to even, it'll be an earlier break than normal. We're going to try something and maybe get back to normal. But you know what? Maybe we won't. So the choice is yours. Some of this might have to do with the fact that we took the show on the road yesterday to Wellington, Florida. And this show is a little like the CFL. The fans feel very intimately connected to it and have an opinion on everything about it. People were like, background of the palm trees of Rod and Moose yesterday. Well, the producers would love us to stay in the studio every day, which I also understand. Because when we take the show down, we're taking all the equipment down, setting it back up. You get it. And it's funny because Darren in Utah Darren writes in, he says, hey, Rod, are you coming to the Delta Center next year in Salt Lake City? Or did you visit this year? You might want to wait for to be done. I'm just going to wait. How about that? No, I have not been to Salt Lake City last year, next year, probably ever. I prefer to not leave Florida. Yes, it was very, very cold in the arena, Amalie Arena last night, which is great. It's a hockey rink. As the Zamboni driver in the Brien said to me one time, I was like, Phil, can you turn up the heat in here? It's freezing. He goes, hockey rink, not a shopping mall. So it was quite nice to walk out of Amalie Arena last night into the 70-degree humid Tampa Bay air. Carlos in Indianapolis writes in and he says, see, here's the thing, choppy audio, Moose not here, but we're chugging along just fine. See, that's what I think. Bomber Boy writes in, he says, choppy Rod is better than no Rod. Tell my haters.
How about that?
Allie in Texarkana says, it's not that bad. I'm not going anywhere. LOL. Well, tell Kirk in Toronto, who's a part-time fan. Do they do that in any other market than... Remember Clark Taylor Field? You might not be old enough, but we used to sit in the old place when I was a fan. And if people left early, the whole side of the stadium would chant, part-time fan, part-time fan. Do you remember that? Does anybody else do that? Freddie in Winnipeg writes in, he says, hello, Pastor Rod. You're doing just fine going solo. And just want to say, glad you got a great life experience in meeting a living legend in Scotty Bowman. Have a great show. Did you just nail that? From your lips to God's ears. God lined it all. He knew before you did, but Scotty, just meeting Scotty Bowman, getting a photo with him, having him being an unbelievably nice guy was the cherry on top. And my takeaway was, if the winningest coach in hockey history, the greatest coach ever can be so nice, why can't everybody in sports be nice? He's the king. Why do we have so many jerks? on the Dan Bilesma thing, which on one hand, I'm shocked so many people care about Dan Bilesma being fired in Pittsburgh or Seattle. Pittsburgh first. But on the other, I'm kind of not. Seattle's got all those Saskatchewan players on their team, plus the assistant coach, which brings me to Brien, writing in from Hudson's Bay. He says, it seems strange to me that after they fire the coach, then they announce the young lady gets to keep her job, Jessica Campbell. He says, why would they come out with a statement about that? Shouldn't that be up to the next coach to pick his staff? And then they wonder why people think differently about a situation like this with a female coach. Treat them the same way as they never announced anything about the other assistant coaches. HL and pro sports in general. Brien, again, your lips to God's ears, but what I will say is this. Let it go. That's the thing that used to keep me up at night, up until somewhat recently. And then I just realized, let them run their team however they want. Just let it go. Does it seem odd? A lot of things. But I will say this, if you are sitting waiting for the world, and specifically the sports world, to get the thing, you're going to be waiting a long time and forever be disappointed. And again, that's not every team. You know, it's funny because I put this Rod Squad newsletter, and but I never brought it up on this show. Yesterday I was walking, what day was it? Monday. I was walking through downtown Boca. A photo of, there was an inscription on it, a quote. Warren, with the quote, sitting in the shade today because I planted a tree a long time ago. From Warren Buffett. So the point is, honoring the past is what I took out of that. Honor those that came before you that made your road easier. Now, Jessica Campbell, she's from Rocanville, Saskatchewan. She's a trailblazer. I don't know what she is or not. I don't know. I am saying she's getting special treatment. He's saying that, not me. But aside from that at all, the Pittsburgh Pirates got slammed by the family of Roberto Clemente. As a matter of fact, his son, Roberto Clemente Jr., put out the statement. This is what I put in my newsletter, that they covered up his dad's mural and to put an ad over top of it. Brits, one of the worst teams in baseball. And Roberto goes, as if that isn't bad enough, that's just a symbol of how our blip has eroded over the years with the current Pittsburgh Pirates. And I just wanted to make it clear that while a lot of teams are like that these days, they don't care about the past, they don't. Not only do they not honor the past, they don't the past. They don't care. The winning teams do. So not every team is like that. I'll tell you what, I'll say it again. Being in Amalie Arena last night, that place was jumping. They honor the past, and they don't even have that big of a past, but they got a good 30 years. I'll tell you that. Mark, do you want me to recycle this thing or not? Okay, so we'll take a quick timeout. We'll get this thing sorted out. Brien Ray from the Dallas Stars coming up in hour 2. Stick with us, everybody. It's going to get great. We're live here on Game Plus TV.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Honky Tonk legend Mark Chestnut. Celebrating 35 years of music. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
We are back in Studio 23, and it already sounds better. Just a little quick thing that we did. It's mini overtime, and before we get into a sports update with some weird sports stories today, I mentioned the NFL draft, and I was going to get to it last segment, but viewers started annoying me. So I'm going to stop reading their comments long enough to read this. It's point 5 of the Quick 6 show topics. This year's NFL draft is on target to achieve a first. Barring a last-minute trade, every team will go into the draft with their original first-round pick for the first time in the common draft era, which began in 1967. That's in stark contrast to recent years when teams were much more willing to trade away or swap first-round picks, with an average of more than 7 teams entering the last 5 drafts without their original first-round picks. Isn't this spellbinding stuff? That peaked in 2022 when 11 teams entered draft day without their own first-round pick, thanks in part to previous deals for players like Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Trey Lance, Tyreek Hill, and Devontae Adams. I say that somewhat tongue-in-cheek. There are people, some of which that have written in here today, that are just hopping up and down, just as all in a frenzy about the NFL draft and oddities like this. For the first time ever, every team owns its pick. For the first time since the first year of the draft. I care a lot more than about the Lightning and the Panthers last night, or the game of the night in the NHL. We'll get to Thursday on Thursday, round 1 of the NFL draft. We'll have a lot of talk about it. That's all. But again, that's how my mind works differently than everybody else's. We were talking. I'm hoping, I haven't heard back from the CFL yet. We're hoping to have the new commissioner on tomorrow. What day is today? Wednesday? Yeah. It's just a weird week. It's Thursday morning. Commissioner Stuart Johnston from the CFL is speaking at 10 a.m. Eastern via live stream, and we're hoping to have him here on Friday. I would love to say, do you envision a day where we could have some sort of fan-attended CFL draft event? And there were CFL people who wrote in here, Norm Fong, saying, Rod, nobody knows who the players are. It won't work. How many of these NFL players do you know past number 10 on? We don't. Yet there's going to be 250,000 people flood Green Bay. I feel like there's a way. But if everybody wants to tell me that it's never going to work, why do I keep thinking that there will be a way? I'll just move on. Heavy Jim sports headlines. Czech leaders, Czechia, are condemning threats made by former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev against NHL legend Dominik Hasek. Medvedev, now deputy head of Russia's Security Council, suggested Hasek's life could be in danger over his criticism of the war in Ukraine. Hasek has informed international sports bodies and may receive protection, according to Czech officials. This is why when people get so upset about the Ovi thing and the photo of him and Putin together, you don't understand the political climate of Eastern Europe. You don't have any clue, okay? And yet some people just won't drop the thing, oh, Ovechkin's got a picture with Putin. Well, maybe if he took it down, he would face the firing squad. Have you ever thought about that? Because you don't know. You run off at the mouth and can't be convinced otherwise. And that's why we can't be friends. Meanwhile, Vancouver is expected to be awarded a PWHL expansion team today. How about that? Wasn't Calgary supposed to be getting a PWHL team? The Professional Women's Hockey League is holding a press conference in Vancouver today, calling it an historic announcement for sport in British Columbia. The new team is expected to play out of the Pacific Coliseum. How did the league draw this year, by the way? Because I watched PWHL games last season, its first season, because it was on Valley Sports Florida. That channel basically went defunct, was reborn as FanDuel Sports Network, and I don't get the games anymore here in Florida, so I don't see how the crowds are. How is it? Is it the hottest thing? Like the WNBA? Sports update is for Heavy Gym. Heavy Gym isn't just about lifting weights. It's about lifting your spirit, your strength, and your potential. Step into the gym that's changing lives. Find out more at heavygym.ca. I don't know how this feed is. I hope it's better. El Sasco writes, thank you, Clark. He says it's 100% better. El Sasco says, hey, Rodfather, if as a kid I could put up with 90s dial-up internet and mega scrambled porn on illegal satellite dishes, I can put up with slightly choppy audio.
How about that?
Bless you, Brother Sasco. Well, we got it fixed. How about that? Gary in Winnipeg writes, and he says, Rod, you're on a roll. Last week you had a picture with Sam Rosen. Yesterday you were able to get a picture with Scotty Bowman. Who's next? Is the answer Jesus? I don't know, but I'm very grateful. It has been a good run. It's been a great run. And we're just getting started. Brien Ray coming up in hour 2. We'll see you right after this.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, Our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Honky Tonk legend Mark Chestnut. Celebrating 35 years of music. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Right now.
I'm wearing headphones, rocking it back old school radio days.
How about that?
And somebody said it looks like I'm plugged into a Walkman. And I remember when I got my first Walkman, because my brothers and I had to share it. And I was the youngest, so how often do you think I got it? And you had your case of cassettes, and then people started to crap on your music selection. And I'm like, then bring yours then! How many times did we have that conversation at parties?
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yeah. Just turning our frown upside down and trying to do the same for you. It's hour 2 of the RP show. Our booked guest pulled a Casper, Jared Dumba. So that's okay. He's over in Germany. We think he got fouled up with a time change. That's all right. We had some tech issues in hour 1. I don't know why. But it looks like we're rolling now. And some people bailed on us, but that's okay. Some regular viewers said they're out. Bomber Boy, though, he's watching in Calgary. He writes in, he says, leaving the RP show early is like leaving a sports game early. Ask those fans that left early to beat the traffic, and their team did something special, and they missed it. Yeah, don't leave early. Or do. Whatever. You bought the tickets to be here, right? Do you guys want to hit the Quick Six show horn, please? And we'll get everybody up.
Hell yes.
We'll get everybody up to speed on what we've been talking about here. Carlos in Indianapolis writes, and he says, that was a good hour for just Rod in the squad. Thank you, Carlos. We are a great team. Colt writes, and he says, did you see what our former CFL Commissioner Randy Ambrosi and the CFL released today? Yes, I did. So we were talking about last night's Stanley Cup playoff games and what went down. And speaking of leaving early, I was with Brent and Brien in Tampa last night for Game 1 of the Battle of Florida, which did not go the way anybody expected, except for maybe the Florida Panthers. For those of us idiots who thought the Panthers would come out slow because they haven't played with a full lineup for 2 months, Sam Bennett scored 3:44 into the game. They went on to rout the Lightning 6-2. And we left with 5 minutes to go. Everybody did. If you were watching, I'm sure there was nobody left in the arena. Maybe BW writes in, he says, still here. Like the lawn furniture at a Motel 6. We'll leave the light on. And Bomber Boy says, are we celebrating your 1500th episode here in Canada? Or will you still be in the Sunshine State? I don't know, brah. This is episode number 1481. I'm coming back to Canada May 28th. You don't know that. You didn't know that. But I have a one-way ticket booked for May 28th for the summer. Do the math. I don't know. One day at a time. I'm struggling with today. Getting through it. Let alone what we're going to be doing 19 shows from now. Oh, this is interesting. Ted in Red Deer. Ted in Red Deer says, I see all of the round one games in sold-out arenas, and I think Gary Bettman should take a big bow. The league has never been in better shape, in my opinion. And Bill, watching in the Queen City, the guy that sent me the Ron and Don bobblehead, says, still here. I appreciate you all who didn't bail. I will be dead and gone. They will have long thrown dirt on my grave, or I will have been flamed, before you realize that I was right about everything. And one of those things, this morning I'm surfing whatever social media platform I was on. I see this headline about ratings never been lower for NHL hockey. Keep scrolling. Who cares? We're watching it all, or we're there. Somebody's just trying to pee on the NHL's parade. The NBA might have put that media outlet up to it. I don't know. Who cares? I'm watching it and I'm loving it. Like McDonald's. Bum, ba, bum, bum, ba. Okay. By the way, 902-518-3033 is the Progressive Insurance text line. People, don't spoil my mood. Please don't. Brien Ray's coming up from Victory Plus, Dallas Stars TV, next segment. Game 3 of the Stars and Avalanches tonight. Don't worry about my travel plans. Don't worry where I'm staying. I shouldn't have even said it. Just enjoy the show. Don't worry about my travel plan. Blair writes in, hey, Rod, Blair in Calgary. He's the guy that sent me this Grey Cup, among other things. He says, about remembering yesterday, the best thing about being born when I was in 1961 is the stories you got from your dad and elder siblings. We also were around for the 6 and 12 team NHL. We've seen it grow and saw all the best players. CFL camp 2 weeks away. Love the show, choppy or not. I was thinking about this the other day. I love the historical perspective that you can get from with a little years on you. We'll get into a lot more of the NFL draft tomorrow because that's when the NFL draft is, tomorrow. My point is it's in Green Bay. I'm fascinated by this story that all the NFL teams had to bid to host the draft. I think it's amazing. Similar to what the CFL teams had to do to host CFL Week, which they don't do anymore. But Green Bay, tiny town, 5,000 hotels, but they got it. And it reminds me of the 1995 Grey Cup in Saskatchewan. Huddle up in Saskatchewan. I was there. I loved it. It was a very happy time in my life. Do you know why? I was only the voice of the Regina Pats. I was the number 2 man in the sports department at the radio station, which means I wasn't broadcasting the Rough Riders, but I did the pre- and post-game show and did the Pats hockey, which is all I really wanted to do. And nobody cared because I wasn't the voice of the Riders. So nobody was up in my face all the time. It was just there was no pressure. You could just do your job and have fun. Not really be expected to be an expert on anything. It was awesome. It was a great time, the 95 Grey Cup. Ron in Calgary writes in and says, I'm still here and going nowhere. Appreciate you, Ron. You're a good man. I don't have anybody to play breakaway bets with. And just so you know, it was a little disjointed of a morning because We didn't get home till 3 a.m. from Tampa Bay last night. It was like the old junior hockey road trips. We were walking through downtown Tampa Bay last night with Brent and Brien and our friend Nick, who's from Tampa Bay. And he's like, Nick, he's like, I thought I had a bad drive home. It's like 20 minutes. You guys are driving over 3 hours. Brent didn't mind. Bree was the one actually doing the driving. And I said, at least it's not blizzarding. At least it's not minus 47, which we've all done. And, right, Clark, if you don't mind me saying, continues to do in the junior loop. That's hard. This ain't. But I just kind of threw my regular schedule out of the loop. By the way, Game 3 SJHL final tonight. Flint and Flon at Weyburn, series tied 1-1. And Game 7 tonight, round 2, Lethbridge at Calgary. Game 7 in the Saddle Dome. You're welcome. We've heard from the Game Plus newsroom, control room, sorry. Rennie Gagnon writes in on the PWHL. He says, Rod, the only PWHL team having trouble with crowds is the New York Sirens. They play in Newark, so hard to get to from the tri-state area. They should play in Brooklyn instead. Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal all sell out their games. Boston and Minnesota are drawing in well, too. Hard for many to sell out the NHL arena every game, but still good crowds. Playoffs starting second week of May. How about that? Rennie's all over it. Who knew? And here's the thing about women's hockey. I'm not anti-women's hockey at all. But I got my fill of every other sport trying to stay on top of, which they call mainstream. And my niece just signed a pro hockey contract. She is the first pro hockey player in our family, Sydney Pedersen, with Sweden Modo. And I talked to her the other day. She has to report to the team August 1st. I said, I'll see you this summer. Sitter. And the old guy would be very proud. He is very proud. Okay, Bill, thank you for this. Clark, you and I are going to go head-to-head on the picks, all right? Let's do it. Montreal at Washington tonight. If you don't mind, I'll go first. I got Washington. How about you? He's taking Montreal. He's taking Montreal. Dallas at Colorado. I think I got to go with the Avs tonight. Sorry, Allie. How about you? Wow. Are we going to put, if you're wrong on these, can we put you under Darren's total? That's what we're going to do. He's trying to tank that. He's trying to tank it. And Edmonton, he's got Dallas. I got Colorado. And Edmonton at the Los Angeles Kings tonight, which our poll question is, what's the game of the night? Running away with it is Oilers-Kings. And there's a lesson in perspective there somewhere, which I'll get to in a second. But Clark, you go first, if you don't mind. Who do you got? He says if the harmonica ladies are back, Kings all the way. But we don't know if the harmonica ladies are back. We don't know. So he's going L.A. either way. Okay, Clark's going with the Kings. You can't show your face in Edmonton now. I'm taking the Edmonton Oilers.
How about that?
It will make life a hell of a lot easier, which I'm due for. I'm okay with it. I'm open to that, life being easier. It's 1:11 Eastern. Just riding the wave here. You got something for that? 1:11 Eastern, guys, back there in the Millennium Falcon? Oh! Doesn't sound like it.
Beautiful.
Ted in Red Deer says, attaboy, Clark. Nice picks. He's a big Habs fan. Ted in Red Deer. Clark is not, but he has picked Montreal to win tonight. I'm very confident in saying Clark is happy not being a Habs fan.
Bingo!
Wayne is watching on Vancouver Island, and he writes and he says, I just wanted to thank you and the pandemic for getting me back watching NHL hockey. I had forgotten how great a game it is. Although I'm still a football fan first, I do love hockey as well. Well, it took me a while just to get caught up to speed with everything. And I said, if you weren't watching an hour ago, I had a nice long chat with a member of the South Florida media about, because he's about my age, just how things have changed in our time in this perilous trade. And he hasn't changed a ton. He's doing great things. Maybe he doesn't need to, but I've changed a lot. And one thing that I've learned, and I'm lucky to have this fresh start at this age, having it be with the National Hockey League, what I've learned, and I will not ask Brien Ray this. People do not, he's coming up next, Dallas Stars TV host. But this is what it is. It's, if you give the NHL positive, favorable coverage, life will be a lot easier for you. Now, you would think that is not that groundbreaking. But I come from the era of the Terry Jones. To give you an example, Clark, Steve Simmons, Toronto Sun, everybody's favorite fly in the ointment. Every town had 3 of those guys, at least, that would eat Steve Simmons' lunch. Tony Gallagher, George Johnson, Dick Chuby, or however you said it in Edmonton, Robin Brownlee, Shaky Hunt. You know, even Tim Kalishaw has turned into a nice guy in Dallas. Brooksy, when's the last time you saw Larry Brooks say anything that pissed the Rangers off? It doesn't happen. So don't bitch about the face-off times. Don't talk about bad TV ratings, if you even believe it, which I don't. Stay positive, and life will be really good for you. I'm down. And as, who was it that said here last week? Gary in Winnipeg. He says, last week you met Sam Rosen. Last night you met Scotty Bowman. You want to throw that up, Clark, that photo again? I don't think we have this hour. I think we need to do that more. There you go. Last night in the press box, just after I had rumpled up tonight's lineup card and threw it at Bill Lindsay as he was on the air, this voice comes over my shoulder and says, oh, you guys are having fun already, are you? And I look, it's Scotty Bowman. I'm like, oh, my God. Am I going to catch hell for this? And is this seat taken? And he said, no. Have a seat, Mr. Bowman. Thus launching this wonderful chat, and I can't, thanks, Clark. And I couldn't believe how nice a guy he is. I can't say this enough. I talked about it for a whole segment last hour. I'm going to talk about it now. If the greatest hockey coach in history can be that nice and ask me where I'm from and what I do and tells me about living in Sarasota and going over the lineups for each team, it was like sitting with my dad. Why can't everybody be nice? If anybody had a reason to be an arrogant jerk, it's him, and he's not. Troy says, I am manifesting positive thoughts. There you go. Jeff the Stamps fan says he looks great. Yes, he does. I almost feel like he has had work done, but I don't think he has. I think it's living in Florida where everybody's happy. And Troy in Toronto says, Shaky Hunt was awesome. I really enjoyed hearing him on the radio with Bob McCowan on the Fan 590 Toronto back in the day. That's what I'm saying. Every town had at least 3 crusty old bastards ripping the teams, ripping the leagues, ripping everybody. It's not the way it is anymore. And I don't want to be that. I want to go get along. Might be too late for me in the CFL, but it isn't with the NHL or NFL. We'll be back with Brien Ray, Dallas Stars TV in a second. Victory Plus. We'll be right back on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Shania Twain.
Let's go, girls.
Live in Moose Jaw. Shania Twain. One incredible show. Live at Temple Garden Center, July 7th. With special guest, Lindsay L. Get tickets Friday, March 21st at 10 a.m. at the Temple Garden Center's box office or sasktix.ca. For more, visit shaniatwain.com.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Landmark Cinemas and Landmark Cinemas Now, The Amateur, starring Rami Malek. Yeah, he's the guy that played Freddie Mercury in the movie about Queen. I want to see this one, The Amateur, now playing in Landmark Cinemas. I'll tell you who doesn't have time for movies. Brian Ray joins us, Dallas Stars TV host. Game 3 tonight. Avs and Stars. Brian, good to see you. I appreciate you fitting us in on a game day. I know you're busy. Would you mind... Happy Wednesday, by the way. Would you mind telling us how you feel this series has gone so far, this split in Dallas, and how the two games have played out?
Rod, always good to talk to you. On a playoff day, my friend, for you, I will always have time. But for this series, I always thought this was a pick-em series from the get-go, and I still think this series has Game 7 written all over it. So if we're split after two games at 1-1, I'd say this series is going exactly as everybody thought it would. I know the score was lopsided in Game 1, at the end of the day, but if you watched that game, that was a dead even game. And I thought the best player in that first game was Mackenzie Blackwood. Dallas, they did not have a ton of puck possession compared to Colorado's, but they had at 5-on-5 about the same amount of attempts, chances, high danger chances, depending, what analytics direction you want to go. And then look, Game 2 goes to overtime. This series has been a 50-50 series so far. Dallas losing a home ice advantage and having to go on the road now and steal it back without Miro Heiskanen. I know he's going to be on this trip, but without Miro Heiskanen and without Jason Robertson, That is a tall task, but the way the first two games have gone, I think there is no indication that Dallas can't get this home ice advantage back. We know we're going 5. I think we're going 7, and I think this sucker is down the middle so far.
I've got the Stars to win it in 7, and by the way, go all the way to the Stanley Cup against the Florida Panthers and Doug Plagans, which we will get to in a second. But so I see it as even as you do. But I'll ask you this. You mentioned your injuries, and I'll get to those. But it seems like a foregone conclusion that Gabriel Landeskog's coming back for Game 3 for them. How do you feel that's going to change things?
You know, that's a good question. First of all, I think that arena is going to be on absolute fire because, look, I think he's coming back tonight. Everybody thinks he's coming back tonight. And if he's coming back tonight, is he not going to be in the starting lineup announced at the beginning of this hockey game? They're going to get that over and done with. So I think Dallas may have to deal with a bit of a tornado in the first 10 minutes of this game, maybe more so than a normal playoff game, because of how juiced up that building is going to be. In terms of the hockey on ice, I think the other question we all have is, where is he going to play? Is he a third-line guy? Is he a fourth-line guy? Once we get into the game, once the release valve has been pulled and the energy of that arena now soaks up into the game, are we talking about Gabriel Landeskog for 10 to 12 minutes, 12 to 15 minutes? How quickly can he get up to the pace of a playoff game? Is it going to be one period? Is it going to be 2 periods? These are all the unknowns when a guy has missed essentially 3 years. There is no doubt that he is a heart and soul leadership, effective hockey player. Game is built for the middle of the ice, which is essentially a playoff style game. There's all those boxes that he checks, but we've never seen somebody try to check those boxes away from the game after 3 years with essentially a knee cartilage replacement. So your guess is as good as mine. This is something we've never seen before, but I think we are all anticipating or interested to see what does this exactly turn into. But there's no doubt that building is going to be absolutely lit at the start of things tonight when he steps out there, which I think he will.
It's going to count for something. We'll see how much.
Yeah.
You know, Brien, you and I have been doing this, and I appreciate your time over the years coming on this show. You are big on, especially playoff time, you just said it, middle of the ice. Look where the goals are being scored in this series. Like a 10-foot radius in front of the net. Not even 6 feet, right? But Dallas, in Game 2, seemed way more committed to playing in that area, paying the price. Is that, do you think, because of the playoff scars they've had over the years? They know now what it's going to take. They don't seem afraid to get their nose dirty, but they weren't doing it as much in Game 1.
I think, well, you're right. They weren't doing it as much in Game 1. And I think that's the bigger indicator. When we talked to Peter DeBoer after Game 1, I thought he had a great phrase. He said, there is a formula in Game 1 for us to win hockey games in this series. And I felt watching even the first game, the more Dallas took the game below the faceoff dots, they were creating more success. The more they tried to play the game off the rush, Colorado was having more success. And this isn't a secret formula. Colorado has been a rush team for what feels like a decade now. And I don't know if there's a team in the NHL that is better off the rush than Colorado. And Dallas is a team that is primarily built to succeed off the rush. Peter DeBoer wants rush chances and wants to attack with speed through the neutral zone. You're just playing another team that has made it their MO for what feels like a decade. I don't know if it's actually been that long, at least since the McCarr, McKinnon tenureship. So I do think the more Dallas can take this game below the faceoff dots and the more they attack the middle of the ice, the old greasy goal, as the old school guys like to call it, I think that feeds into their success. And I was actually looking up some numbers that we're going to spotlight on our show tonight. Mackenzie Blackwood has faced the most high danger shots, and he has the most high danger saves. He's also dealt with the most rebound attempts of any goalie in the playoffs so far. That tells me he is putting second chance bids out there for Dallas to go get. The hard part, can you penetrate and get those second chance goals before Colorado can clean up that garbage. Dallas was better at that in game 2, and it's basically why they won that game in overtime.
Allie, your number one fan, writes in. She says, let's go Stars. She says, I wish Miro would play. That would be fantastic. You know, when you talk about off the rush, when they came through Sunrise in the fall, or at least the first half of the season, I was like, whoosh, that's a good team. But Mikko Rantanen was on that team. I was watching games 1 and 2 going, Colorado's awesome. But I'm like, Dallas has some dudes, too, to use a football term from our football friends. They got some dudes on Dallas. Mikko Rantanen's one. What's going through his mind right now? What's he saying about playing his former team and going back there?
He's saying all the right things, and it was from the beginning of this series. He has already gone back to Colorado, and he has already done that media car wash once. Now, it's the playoffs. You have to do it all over again. But he was quick to say that, listen, he is a member of the Dallas Stars, and it's all business now entering this playoff series. I do think he's been pretty good in the first 2 games. I mean, there has been times where he has had the puck on his stick, and it's Velcro. I mean, it would have taken an act of Congress down here in the States to get it away from him. The one thing that we're missing is a Mikko Rantanen goal. And I wonder if he can break that seal. Does it open up the floodgates, and does that release some of those emotions and tensions entering this series? That's, I think, the last thing we need to see out of Mikko Rantanen. But I thought he's been good, and Peter DeBoer has had to move him around. He tried to make Mikko Rantanen, Jamie Benn, and Wyatt Johnston work on a line. Halfway through game 2, he put the Finnish connection together of Granlund, Hintz, and Rantanen, and they started to do some things in the offensive zone. They had last change. They don't have that on the road, but watching that trio is something to keep an eye on for Dallas tonight.
Last one, because I know you're busy. I mentioned the Doug Plagans thing. I know how tight you and the voice of the Florida Panthers are. I have a Dallas-Florida Stanley Cup. I said that going in. It would be so great if it happened. Tell me, have you guys talked about it privately? Not on the air, but
no.
Could you imagine a day?
We talked about it briefly last year when they were both in the Western and Eastern Conference Final. But I have not reached out to Dougie since the playoffs began. I will not reach out to him until maybe those teams are back in the conference final, if they can get there through the difficult paths they have. But you know, we thought about it a little bit last year. It would be pretty cool that 2 kids from Lake Forest College that were broadcasting hockey on the student radio station could do a cup final in some fashion. So it's one of those things where it's such a strange scenario. If it happens, you just bathe in how cool it is, but you don't talk about it. You don't try to force it. You know, it's not up to us. We have no bearing whatsoever on Dallas and Florida getting or not getting to the Stanley Cup final. If it happens, we're going to have a blast with it.
It would be pretty awesome. Is that his nickname, Ducky?
Yeah.
By the way, did I hear you say that?
Not Dougie, Dougie. I call him
Dougie.
I don't know if anybody else calls him Dougie Playins, but we called him Dougie on the bus back in college plenty of times.
Okay. I'll bring that up. I might start calling him Ducky and see how it goes over. Okay, Brian, break a leg tonight. Break a leg. We'll be watching. Good job, man. Good luck.
Appreciate it. Good to talk to you as always. Enjoy the playoffs.
Thanks, man. Brian Ray of the Dallas Stars, television host. He does such a great job. And so just take a little inside what we do here. He does his thing there in Dallas, and Doug Plagans is the radio voice of the Florida Panthers. And I see Doug every game. He is really, really good. He's in the NHL, so you would hope that he would be, and he is. So I said to him, Dougie, when are we going to get you on the podcast? And I'm talking the Cats and Bolts podcast. And he feels terrible. He's like, he's got a big voice. He's like, it's going to have to be in the off season. Just too busy, which I know that he is. With those jobs, there's no room for anything outside those jobs. There just isn't. But I said, okay, well, if I had you on, Doug, I would have to ask you, what is your favorite atmosphere in the National Hockey League? What's your favorite road, barn, and favorite atmosphere? And you'd have to know him, and I'm hoping one day you will on this show or Cats and Bolts. But he's like, this was in the bathroom, by the way, we were having this discussion, so it was a little uncomfortable. But he goes, atmosphere or broadcast perspective? And I said, Both. And he goes, well, atmosphere, Bell Center, Montreal. You just can't beat Bell Center, Montreal. So for all our Eastern viewers and Habs fans, it's a thing. The Bell Center. Anybody will tell you, if there's only one rink to go to, it's Montreal. Do you have something for me, Clark? I feel like I heard something in my ear. Sure, we'll bring him on. Sure. Next segment, Jared Dumba is going to be with us. And then the other thing, he goes, and I said, what about perspective? And I don't want to scoop myself because Doug is going to talk about this on our podcast, but he goes, Calgary. And I said, oh, because you're right over the ice in the Saddledome? He goes, that's exactly why. You're right over the ice in the Saddledome. He goes, it's the best vantage point of the National Hockey League. He goes, I'll be putting the SAD in Saddledome when they close that place. So I thought that was just about Doug Plagens, the radio voice of the Florida Panthers. That was his answer to the best road barn for two different reasons. We are going to load him up. Why not bring in Jared Dumba for the love of God? I'm a little tired of talking for almost 2 hours straight. Or an hour and a half anyways. Oh, all you do is talk sports. We've got a sports update coming up and viewer takeover, which it kind of has been that all show. But I have these things that I wanted to get to with Jared. Even though he's in Germany, he's very closely following what's going on. We've talked about these things, and that's the thing. When it's just me, I can get a little deeper into my opinions. For all those that wondered what's going on in Seattle with the firing of Dan Bylsma, and they're keeping Jessica Campbell, and they don't know about everybody else. I don't know. I don't know. The Kraken, look what's going on the ice, the field, the diamond. Try to not be fooled by the gobbledygook that's coming out of the executives' offices at the news, the executives' mouths at the news conferences or in the news releases. What's the eye test say? They suck. And some franchises will keep going through coaches. New York Rangers. Doug McLean explained this very well on the Cats and Bolts podcast. He's been the coach. He's been the GM. He's been the president. Doug said you only have so many coaches you can fire as the GM before the bullet hits you. And maybe Seattle's got a few more to go. But in Vegas, it's still the same GM. Still the same GMs. In Vegas, what's the eye test say? Tell you they're passing. Okay, we'll be talking more hockey when we come back with Jay Red. We're live on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcasting wherever you enjoy.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Honky Tonk legend Mark Chestnut. Celebrating 35 years of music. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Now we have all kinds of guests raining down as we continue from Studio 23. It's not game day in Florida, but it will be Thursday, game 2, Lightning Panthers in Tampa. By the way, Johnny M. is watching from Winnipeg. He writes and he says, "Hey, Rod, on the Progressive Insurance text line, visit a Winnipeg Jets whiteout party. This is the time to set up the RP show at a party in the plaza. I should be your PR guy." I'd love to do that. I'd love to do that. You make the Stanley Cup final, and I might just find a way. Okay, well, Jared Dumba's found a way from all the way from Germany on his vacation. I appreciate you, J. Red, for finding the time and doing it. Tell me this. How does a guy follow the Stanley Cup playoffs in Germany? It's an odd time for you to go, knowing as much as you love the NHL.
Well, Rod, yeah, it's real tough. I didn't even want to come at this point of the year, but, having a wife that's a teacher, she only gets to leave certain times, and it's been a decade since I've done it. So I said, okay, this year we'll go. And following the playoffs is hard here. The games start, when you look on your phone, they start at midnight, 1 o'clock, 4 a.m., and you'd love to stay up and watch. And if there was a pub or somewhere that showed them, I would be there. But nobody shows them. I ask around. Everybody says, "What's the NHL?" And I say, "Haven't you heard of Leon Draisaitl or Stützle?" No idea. They have no idea. I said, "Well, you guys have the DEL here. There's billboards all over town showing DEL playoffs right now. Anybody I ask, what's the DEL?"
Okay, yeah.
It's a little tough. It's a little tough, but you know what? I like waking up for breakfast and being able to see, you get all the scores first thing for breakfast. You're having your coffee first thing in the morning. So that's kind of nice, but really missing watching the actual action. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Well, it will be going on when you come home for a long time. Maybe you and I can get together and watch some of it later on in the spring. But having said all of that, the highlights are just as good. And let me say, are there any surprises for you in these series? You can't be surprised the Leafs are up 2-0 on Ottawa, for instance.
No. You know what? Usually there's some surprises. Really, there's not a lot of surprises this year. Winnipeg's doing their thing. They're going to I think Winnipeg's going to go far. Toronto, to be expected. And, last game, they won an overtime game. They won, I think they won the most one-goal games in the league during the regular season. So no surprise there. You see Carolina doing their thing. You know what? I'm thinking in the Golden Knights series, I'm thinking the Wild's going to pull something off. There's always an upset or something that people don't expect. So I'm thinking that one, that could be the upset of the year. Colorado, them and Dallas tied at 1. No surprise there. There's not a lot of surprises so far. But it's early. There's going to be some surprises. We'll see what happens here, and it's just fun watching. This is the greatest time of year. For me personally, I don't know what you think, but for me personally, World Junior time and the first series of the NHL playoffs, best time of year.
I agree. I've been saying it forever, and I try and remind people in the fall when they're all saying that's the best time of the year. I'm like, no, it's the spring, but you can't pick both. It's the spring, and you and I both know that. Yeah, exactly. But so aside all that, you know what I really wanted to ask you about is the off ice stuff. Dan Bilesma fired, Lou Lamoriello fired, and I also got to tell you about my time with Scotty Bowman last night, which kind of weighs in, but kind of doesn't. But let's start with Bilesma. I've got a tidal wave of questions from people about Bilesma being fired and what we think of it. What do you think of it?
Well, it's a little surprising. It's not surprising at this point, but if you would have said, a year ago that he was going to be fired right now, it would have been very surprising. But to me, sometimes things just don't work out. It's not the right fit. And to me, that's what that Bilesma, what the Bilesma situation is. It's just not the right fit. I think he'll pick up somewhere else. He may have to go down to the American League for a couple of years, but I think he's going to pick up somewhere else. He's a great coach, but yeah, just not the right fit there. As for Lou Lamoriello, I've been saying this for years, and I used to love Lou's teams. Tons of respect for the guy, but sometimes the game just passes you by. And watching what he's been doing over the last 5 to 7 years, I think it's maybe time to. Sometimes it just comes time to hang him up, and the great ones always know when it's time to hang him up. We'll see. Maybe he'll try to catch on somewhere else, but he's been so amazing. There's not a lot of bigger names in hockey than Lou Lamoriello. It wouldn't be anything bad if he did. But hey, you know what? It's just he's still playing. He's still managing in the game from 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. And it's just the game's passed him by, in my opinion.
That's fine. Well, I'll tell you what. There is one name bigger than Lou Lamoriello, and it's Scotty Bowman. And I'll tell this story one more time because I probably won't tell it more after today. But last night in the press box in Tampa, I rolled up the lineup, crumpled it up, and threw it at Bill Lindsay. He was doing color on Panthers radio. Hit him. And this voice says, "Oh, somebody's having fun already." And I look over. It was Scotty Bowman. And he was smiling ear to ear. And he came and he sat down, and we had a talk. We went over the lineups. We talked about where he's living, where I'm living. I'd never met him before. He's 91, Jared. 9 Stanley Cups as a head coach. He's won 5 more as a consultant. Number 1 all-time in coaching wins. And I think, we say the game's passed Lou by. It probably has. But I don't think it's passed Scotty Bowman by. Because the sense I get from him, I couldn't believe how nice he was. He treats people with respect. He's honest with them. I don't think that goes out of style, Jared. You played for a lot of coaches. I don't think that goes out of style from your coach.
No, and you know what? I didn't know he was 91. That's amazing. But you know what? I've heard some things. I played with Darren McCarty when he was making his comeback. He ended up playing for the Red Wings in the playoffs that year. That was his comeback year after he, had a few issues that he went through. And the stories he told us about Scotty Bowman, honestly, they remind me. I played for Doug Sauter my first few years in Oklahoma City when I was in playing pro, and it reminded me of this kind of the same thing. Guys like that who they seem to be more worried about the person, and if you're being a good person, a good guy off the ice and on the ice, you're being a good teammate, they're less worried about the systems that you're playing, and they're more worried about the little things that you're doing in life. And that's what I heard. That's what Darren McCarty told me about Bowman. And that's it reminded me big time of Doug Sauter, because sometimes you'd laugh, you'd say, well, these guys don't even care about the systems. Then you get a little older and you realize maybe it's not the systems that win you championships and win you games. Doug Sauter, I believe, is still the all-time winningest or the second all-time winningest coach behind Bowman in pro hockey. So there's something to be said about these guys who coach. They coach people. They don't coach the game of hockey. And so that doesn't surprise me to hear you say that.
No, and I just looked it up again. He is 91. I had a tough time believing it, too, because he looked amazing. Yeah. Now, Florida is the anti-aging capital of the world, so maybe he's had work done, but I don't think so. I think Scotty Bowman's had a good life. I think he's living a good life. And he has lived properly. Now, as somebody said to me, wrote in, they're like, he hasn't always been that nice. Neither have I. We'll all find people that will say something they don't like about us or bad moments we've had. But that's not the people that we are. None of us have. So, but Jared, you're the kind of guy that will honor your obligations, and you did today. I appreciate you checking in from Germany. I'll let you go out and have some Wiener Schnitzel and whatever it is you do. Chicken Schnitzel, something. Say hey to Wendy and
thanks, buddy.
Have fun. Have fun. Get home safely.
Wendy's listening, and I really wish I could have back here right behind me. I lost went back there when I went back there, but there's a professional soccer practice going on. I wanted that in the background. Hey, maybe next time.
Well, we're big soccer fans here, as you know. Thanks, Jared.
How about
Have fun. We'll be back.
Thanks, buddy.
I'll answer all of your questions when we come back for overtime. There's some gooders in here. We're live on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcasting wherever you enjoy your podcast.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Shania Twain.
Let's go, girls.
Live in Moose Jaw. Shania Twain. One incredible show. Live at Temple Garden Center July 7th. With special guest Lindsay L. Get tickets Friday, March 21st at 10 a.m. at the Temple Garden Center's box office or sasktix.ca. For more, visit ShaniaTwain.com.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Well, we appreciate everybody sticking with us into overtime. The final segment is for our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, where they are enjoying the Stanley Cup playoffs. And I'll tell you, with the hockey season's over, I think, for a lot of the kids, I know a lot go year-round. But if they are beating up your floors, beating up your kitchen cabinets, take them into Overtime Hockey Lanes and get them off your hands. Also, you can buy a monthly pass for just $99. Unlimited lane time at Overtime Hockey Lanes. Tell them the RP Show sent you. They also do birthdays like nobody else. 28th Street Northeast, Calgary. So it's been an interesting day. Themes today. Whatever those were, it certainly wasn't planned. I appreciate those sticking with us through the early tech issues. I wish we'd have got it handled earlier, but it is what it is. Nobody died here, okay, today. It's not that big a deal. With Scotty Bowman, BW in Edmonton says, is Scotty advising his son in Edmonton, Stan Bowman? I never asked, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was. Very sharp. Like I said, he was on his phone a lot, texting. I think he was on some social media accounts. He's just that kind of guy that'll probably never retire. But again, I was like, Jared, 91? Really? Just because it doesn't seem like it was that long ago that he coached. And he looks so fantastic. Best looking 91-year-old I've ever seen. Coached with the St. Louis Blues, well, when his coaching career spans 1956 to 2002, that's a long time. And it reminds me of this quote that I read earlier. I stopped and took a picture of a bench in downtown Boca Raton, there's a quote on the bench from Warren Buffett. Someone's sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. Scotty Bowman is the man. And it's important that he not be forgotten, his contributions. There are people out trailblazing now in the hockey world and the broadcasting world and all various industries. It's just very important that we don't forget those that paved the way. And what's sad is a lot of people do forget. But we don't on this show. Oh. Darcy in Grand Prairie writes in on the Progressive Insurance text line. He says, nice shirt. The Jays should shake up the lineup. Move Jimenez to leadoff and push everyone down a spot. Can't wait for the NFL draft. Well, there may be more NFL draft talk on Thursday, tomorrow, because that's when round one is. I feel like there will be more. Moose will be back. I wasn't going to get into NFL talk with Jared Dumba and Brien Ray today. They're hockey guys. We can talk about it, but we got to know the right timing. We'll see. The Blue Jays are at the Astros tonight. As a matter of fact, thank you for the reminder, Darcy and Grand Prairie. Blue Jays aiming to snap a 4-game slide when they wrap up a 3-game series against the Astros in Houston. Righty Bowden Francis will be on the mound for the 12-12 Jays, who have dropped 7-0 and 5-1 decisions to Houston in the first 2 games of the series. 3 Stanley Cup playoff games tonight, including one in Washington, where the Capitals will look to take a 2-game lead over the Montreal Canadiens. Elsewhere, the Edmonton Oilers will be looking to tie their series at 1-1 when they visit the LA Kings. Kind of feels like the series hangs on this one tonight. It probably doesn't, but it doesn't feel that way. And our viewers saying that that was the runaway winner for the game of the night. Colorado Avalanche host the Dallas Stars after splitting the first 2 games in Texas. That'll be a honey, too. The sports update is for Heavy Gym. Heavy Gym isn't just about lifting weights. It's about lifting your spirit, your strength, and your potential. Step into the gym that's changing lives. Find out more at heavygym.ca. BW says, great show as always. Thank you, BW. Thanks for sticking with us. Talking about what's the best time of year. Ted in Red Deer writes, and he says, not to be a Terry Jones in the ointment, but the fall is still number 1 in my heart. But spring hockey is a close second. There is no right or wrong answer on that. I think the important thing is, and you said, Ted, you clarified, for you it's spring. That's cool. One thing we really need to do as a society is realize that not everybody's going to agree, and we need to respect other people's rights to their opinions. For me, it's the spring. I'm not moving off of it. Never have, never will. This is the best time of year. Football tries to weasel its way in there, and certainly the draft is pretty exciting Thursday, Friday, Saturday in the NFL. But right now, it's Stanley Cup playoffs. Interesting, Tony from Cochrane writes, and he says, yeah, what's up with Seattle? What happened to the Supersonics of the NBA? I was a fan. They moved to Oklahoma City, Tony, if you were aware, and they're doing pretty well. They're up 2-0 in their first-round series, and a kid from Hamilton is the best player in the NBA. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I'm not sure if I'm saying this facetiously or not. You knew that, right? Tony from Cochrane says, I got the NFL draft day jitters. Don't blow it, Cleveland. Well, you got them a little early. The draft's tomorrow, round 1. Captain Lou checking in from Michigan. He says, there's a draft tomorrow? That's the thing. If you just can't get enough of what we do, the latest Darren DuPont column is up at rodpeterson.com, and he said how the American media is awash with NFL draft coverage. I'm like, really? Because I've been up to my eyeballs in Stanley Cup playoff coverage and going to the games. It's been amazing. What's wonderful is we can all enjoy it and come here and talk about it every day. We'll do it tomorrow, noon Eastern, right here.
About that.